Did Jacob Fatu break Roman Reigns? Not physically, psychologically. Because Roman Reigns walked out on Raw thinking he was going to humble Jacob Fatu the same way he's humbled everybody else in the bloodline. Beat them, pressure them, get them to acknowledge him, and put them back in the line. But Jacob Fatu did not walk out looking humbled. He walked out looking like a man who realized Roman can be survived. And once fear stops working, control starts slipping. Roman is still the tribal chief, but for the first time in a long time, somebody in that family looked at Roman Reigns and wasn't afraid. This is a Pro Wrestling Quickie. I'm Tristen Law, semi-retired pro wrestler and your host. You don't have much time and neither do I, so let's have a quickie. Roman Reigns is still the tribal chief. Let's make that clear. This is not me saying Jacob Fatu has replaced Roman Reigns. Not yet. Roman is still the man on top. He's still the one with the history, the aura, the resume, the control, and the crown, the championship. But what happened on Raw showed me something important. Roman's control is cracking. Roman came out there trying to use the same playbook he's used before. Beat the family member, humble them, make them acknowledge him, pull them back in line. He did it with Jey Uso. And now he thought that he could do it with Jacob Fatu? Nah, Jacob Fatu's different. Because Jacob Fatu didn't come out of Backlash looking like a man that's been humbled. He came out of the match looking like a man who's learned something. Jacob Fatu learned he could stand across from Roman Reigns and still survive. That's dangerous. Because there's nothing worse than a man who's seen himself at the lowest, has everything to gain and nothing to lose. Roman thought he was going to remind Jacob of his place, but Jacob may have found out Roman's place is not as untouchable as everybody thought. That is why Jey Uso was so important in that segment on Raw. Jey knew better. Roman was looking at Jey like, why are you trying to stop this? Why are you trying to talk Jacob Fatu from coming to the ring? Roman believed he could talk down Jacob. He still believed acknowledgement meant control. But Jey already lived through Roman's version of family. Jey knows exactly what happens when Roman pushes somebody too far. Jey knows Roman doesn't ask just for loyalty. Roman Reigns demands obedience. And honestly, the more I look at the bloodline, the more it feels like a cult. Because everybody questioning Roman Reigns becomes betrayal. Loyalty matters more than truth. Family gets used as a weapon. Acknowledgement is not earned, it's demanded. And that's where Jacob Fatu becomes interesting. I don't think that Jacob Fatu attacked Roman Reigns because he wants to be tribal chief. I think Jacob Fatu snapped. He knew Roman didn't really beat him. He knew Roman was only better than him for about 3 seconds. Roman barely won. Jacob in the end decimated him. 2 days later on Raw, Roman turned around and tried to publicly humble Jacob, like Jacob was supposed to bow his head and fall back in line. I'm like, I apologize, my tribal chief. I acknowledge you. Nah, that's not how Jacob Fatu's built. And this is why this is not a simple babyface and heel story. Roman's not fully wrong. And Jacob's not fully right. They're both standing 10 toes each on the line. Roman built the empire. Jacob wants respect in the empire. Roman talks about blood, family, loyalty, and urgency. But when the bloodline needed an extra man, they called Sami Zayn. Think about that. Roman preaches blood until blood is inconvenient. So if you're Jacob Fatu, maybe you're looking at Roman like, you talk about family, but only when family serves you. That is why fans can understand Jacob Fatu. Anybody who's ever struggled, anybody who's ever been overlooked, anybody who's ever wanted more than they were given, anybody who's ever felt like they were being used for muscle instead of value can understand Jacob Fatu. And that's what makes this story work. WWE is letting the fans choose, not by telling us who's right, but by showing us why both men believe that they're right. Roman still thinks that power comes from acknowledgement. Jacob just proves power can also come from refusing to be afraid. Jacob Fatu did not break Roman Reigns completely. Roman Reigns is still the tribal chief, but Jacob found the crack. And once one person sees the crack, everybody else starts looking for it too. Roman can still beat people. The question is whether beating them still works. That is the story now. Power, respect, family. Not the clean version of family, the ugly version. The version where loyalty becomes control. The version where respect is demanded instead of earned. The version where one man still wears the crown, but another man just realized that crown can be touched. Roman thought he was humbling Jacob. Jacob reminded Roman that fear only works until somebody stops being afraid. My name is Tristen, and that was your Pro Wrestling Quickie.